Welcome back, everybody, to In the Can. We are talking Slamdance right now. The film is called Cat Sticks. It's kind of a dark look into addiction and kind of small vignettes of characters who go through addiction and trying to get their fix. And here to talk about Cat Sticks, we have two of the actors, Tanmay and Sumeet, and then we have the director, Ronny Sen. Thank you guys for coming on and talking about the film. So, first question, what does it mean to be in Slamdance to you guys?
I mean, it's amazing because Slamdance is one of the very few festivals which has a very open and democratic process of selecting films. So when we submitted and after we got in, it feels great because you know that it's pretty legit. There is no favoritism, or you don't need to know any curators or programmers and stuff like that. So all the films which are selected are pretty much by, you know, blind submission. So it's great. It's great energy, it's great vibe, you know, we love it.
And where did the story for this movie come from? Is it a personal experience, one that maybe you just felt needed to be told?
So when I was growing up in Salt Lake City, in Calcutta, another Salt Lake City, I mean, a lot of my friends were, you know, into drugs and alcohol and a lot of substance abuse, and there was a violence by the society, which I've seen, and it was very intense, you know. So it was very important at some point in my life to try and understand how these stories can be told. And what I saw that addiction and addicts are usually ostracized from the society, like lepers are, and it's very important to, you know, at least try. I mean, the reason to do the film was to try and see if there can be any conversation around drug addicts or addiction at large, because it's very important.
Now, as actors, what emotions did you guys have to go through to get ready for the film? Because I'm sure it's dark subject matter, and that may not be the easiest thing to get ready for, correct?
Yeah, so I think when this film sort of first came about, we were throwing around some ideas as to how we can enter this space, and obviously physically we had to transform as well, so we did a lot of work with that, but it wasn't just about what we look like. I think physically if you enter a space, then mentally you change as well. So a lot of it was to do with finding the body of an addict, like how would the person sort of be on the streets, and the body language, like how you sort of sit, or like, you know, how you, as Ronny said, they become persona non grata. You cease to become a human being.
Yes.
You're looked down upon, you're like sort of physically also like beggars or homeless people, you're below the eye line. So we worked with that obviously, but also we did go through an intensive workshop, rigorous workshop process. We met recovering addicts. One of the most beautiful things was when we went to an actual rehab, and we met some people who were there, and there was an overwhelming sense of community and love. I think once you're an addict, and if you've been to rehab, there's this sort of complete
willingness to share.
Yeah, openness, like you sort of give yourself up almost. You're like, you have no ego left. So that was a very beautiful thing to connect to as well. Like, you know, you just sort of have full total love in some ways. Like you have love for each other at least. You know that society's put you aside, but you have love for each other and you really take care of each other. And that was one of the most beautiful things, I think, psychologically or mentally that we found, which was a very good in for us into the characters.
Which kind of percolated into the entire cast and crew, you know.
Yeah.
There was an air of humility, and there was no hierarchy. All actors were treated equally. Even if you watch the film, you'll know there's no one standout lead cast member, you know.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of help from fellow cast members and Ronny, stories that everybody shared, you know, about what happens, because being regular kids, I mean, you know, not having gone through intense substance abuse, how we perceive it from the outside and what actually happens, there's a lot of difference, you know. And there was a very nice segue into that, you know. We had time enough to research and meet people and hear stories and even try to relate to what happens, you know. And it's quite deep. I don't know if we try to get as much deep as we can, you know.
I mean, thank you for trying to get deep and tell a story that needs to be told, and it's not just because, you know, I grew up in big cities, and you would see addicts and homeless people, and after a while you kind of got desensitized to it and forgot that they were human beings. So the fact that you're trying to tell this story is thank you so much for it. Now, Ronny, can you explain why you decided to do vignettes for the film rather than doing one just big story?
Yeah, see, the thing is that addicts and alcoholics and anybody dealing with substance abuse, especially from a city like Calcutta, they come from various caste, from different kinds of class locations, etc. So for me, it was important to address all of them as much as I could, So this is not a narrative of one person. It's more of a collective consciousness, and the idea was to sort of tell people that these people exist, because modernity or modern society has only room for the people who have courage, where it's important to understand that the cowards also deserve to live. I'm not saying that addicts are cowards, but I'm just saying in general that there should be room for everyone. There should be room for losers. There should be room for everyone. And there were many other things. In the film is basically in the backdrop. It happens in the backdrop of a time when a 3-decade-long communist regime is on the verge of collapse. So, and if you know Calcutta, it has a long history. It was one of the most important cities after London, in the last 200 years. And how economically, socially, culturally, it's kind of dying down. And you need to know, you need to sort of show the underbelly of the city. So there are many things, and I would, request everyone to come to our screening, which is on the 31st at 3.
So tomorrow. Perfect.
Tomorrow.
At 3 p.m. in the afternoon at the Treasure Mountain Inn. That's the last screening. We had one screening and it was amazing. So the next one is tomorrow at 3 p.m. Please come.
You do it. Definitely go watch the film because it's real. It's authentic, and it's a story that needs to be told. So thank you three for coming on and talking about the film. Cat Sticks, it's called. Definitely check it out. It's at Slamdance, which is a great film festival that takes place alongside Sundance with absolutely fantastic films. We have more in the can coming up after these breaks.